We got to get.
So I'm back on full mode. Like an admin, where I think so. Anyways, I didn't have that last week. That was really weird.
Jacob and Ron, I'm getting them on the stage and maybe pull them up again. So, Jacob and Ron, are you guys able to turn on your cameras and get on here?
There you go.
No, you turned it off on me, man.
All right.
Pulling the magic on me. I'm not that bright.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, awesome. We're getting started. I'm going to get on live here on LinkedIn, and we will get going. All right, everyone. Welcome once again to the Exit Your Way Roundtable. We do this every Thursday, and I get tongue-tied every Thursday. And I'm glad that Andrew's here making fun because it's always a great time. Today, we're going to talk a little bit about practical cybersecurity. Got two people I consider experts here, Ron Craig and Jacob Warren. We're going to talk about that a little bit later. We're running live on LinkedIn. So if you people are on LinkedIn and you're watching us now, one of the things I'm going to be doing here that I haven't done before is drop a link in the chat on LinkedIn for Remo so you can get over here with us if you want to. If you haven't already, drop your LinkedIn link in the chat so people can connect with you. And we're going to get started. So, as it is normal, we have a tradition we started here a while ago that Andrew and I enjoy. And Andrew's going to start by bringing people on stage, and we all get to do a real quick introductions of ourselves and what we do and answer a question. So our question of the day, like last week we said, what was your favorite band in music when you were 18 and what is it now? We're going to do these kind of things. But this one's a professional one. So tell us what your one big goal is for 2021. Personal, professional, doesn't matter. But you're like the pinnacle goal. So awesome. Troy, great to see you.
Hello, how are you?
Awesome. So the question of the day, after you tell us who you are first, sorry.
No worries. Troy Niehaus. Hello, everyone. I am an advisor, a wealth advisor for Bernstein Private Wealth here in Seattle. And let's see, that's a great question. My biggest goal is to do deep discovery with all of my people that I work with. So my professional colleagues, my prospects, and my clients. And that means getting to know as much about them as possible so that I can be as effective as possible. So I would say that's my biggest goal, is to really emphasize deep discovery.
Very cool. Very cool. Awesome, Troy. Thank you.
Thanks, gentlemen.
Ron Higgs.
Morning, everyone. Ron Higgs here in Seattle, looking for my next opportunity in operations management, something like that. As far as a goal for next year, since I'm looking for an opportunity, I would love to find one that's going to make me happy and find one that's going to carry me out and through the rest of my working career. I would also like to, I think I shared this with everyone before, since I've been unemployed, every day I have tried to meet someone new, learn something new, and help someone. And I hope to continue that as well.
It's awesome.
Awesome, Ron. Thank you so much. What we got next,
Anytime.
Andrew?
Let's see here. Hang on. Something's going slow on my computer. Give me 1 second.
Maybe one of
somebody that can help with that.
Yeah.
We do. All right, we're going to go with a new person here. Alexandra.
Oh, Ron knows him. You might have to put it on your screen. There we go. Michael,
there we go.
Hey, Mike, how are you doing today?
Great. How's everyone today?
Freaking awesome.
It seems to be working.
Yeah.
Oh, everybody.
So, Mike, let us know about you and your goal for 2020.
There we go. They're all coming at once. Sorry.
My goal is actually pretty simple, but I consider it fairly big. I want to get 500,000 members onto the Service Professionals Network this year. And I feel like I'm going to do that with some of the changes Jacob have implemented on the site, including making it faster, more secure, giving people the ability to write blogs directly onto their profiles. I mean, just lots of little things we've done to make it rank better. I mean, we're actually ranking in all 195 countries now.
Nice. And that is the serviceprofessionalsnetwork.com.
Yeah, I'll drop the link down there for you guys.
Very good.
Appreciate all your support.
All right,
Thanks, Mike.
thank you.
Good to
Alexandra.
Yes.
Excuse me. So tell us a little bit about yourself and your goal for 2021.
Well, do you hear me okay?
Yes.
Actually. All right. So my goal is to continue what I started in the 2 previous years. It's raising awareness on cybersecurity. And actually, there have been quite a recent change on my side, as I just started with a new company called VARS Corporation. I've been sharing awareness and best practices on security for the last year, which got me like the LinkedIn top voice. It was already amazing, but I was just director of security of one SMB, and I felt I could do more. So when I got the opportunity to join VARS, it's a managed security solution provider. I jumped on the opportunity because now I can actually reach more to SMBs. I mean, we all saw the market trends and the news and the leaks and stuff. And I think there is not enough people skilled to provide support to organizations, especially SMBs. And I think I can make a bigger difference joining a company that will provide services. So
Nice.
I'm going to be like, halfway hands-on and advising kind of and supporting the team in place because they have already a lot of very skilled guys. And I think for the whole world and cyber world, it will make a better difference joining them than staying alone.
Great.
So I'm actually very excited. I think 2021 is going to be like crazy. And to be honest, despite the COVID stuff, which have been some rough time for some people, on my side, I'm very lucky. It has been one of my best years. I mean, grow, contact, knowledge, and it's just, I don't know why, but I got the power this year.
Awesome, Alexandra. Awesome. So, Pete, how are you today? Tell us a little about yourself and answer our infamous question.
Sure. Hey, guys. Good morning, and I'm looking forward to getting some great knowledge from a couple of big experts in this field. So I'm Pete Alexander. I do a lot of different things. One of the things I do is help leaders better protect their health and handle challenging situations with grace. So I have two big ones that I'm looking at. One is rebranding my landscaping business. We're investing in marketing versus some of our competitors who've really retracted on that. So looking forward to doing some classical marketing stuff there that I haven't been able to do as frequently as I have in the past. And then I'm also on the lookout for other podcast opportunities. I'm really enjoying being a podcast host. And so occasionally I'll see opportunities for that. And so I've been inquiring on those to see if I can do a hosting for somebody else as well.
Oh, cool. Yeah. Awesome, Pete.
You bet. Thanks for having me on.
Melissa, how are you today? And
Good morning.
awesome to see you.
Good to see you too. Thanks for having me. Hi, Andrew. And, excited to hear Jacob and Ron's informational presentation in a bit. So for me, leadership coach, I am looking forward to continuing to build my practice in 2021. I am in the works of announcing with an organization in Iowa a elevating leaders 15-month development program for leaders that want to take their leadership to the next level and make sure they have that solid foundation. So that's a big goal for 2021 to get that ramped up, kicked off, and in progress. And great question for today as we're all winding down furiously 2020 and jumping into 2021. So thanks for being here.
Thank you, Melissa. Wonderful to see you. Mary, how are you today?
I am wonderful. Thank you. I am Mary. My nickname is Kiki White. I'm from Syracuse, New York, out in the snow here. My big goal for next year is to really build and make my new blog system work I'm going to take it from just being a blog to some subscription materials, to some training packages, to some podcasts on each of the subjects that I've been already talking about. So,
Nice.
and I'm going to build my first course is going to be called Get Out of Your Own Way. And that's so.
That's cool.
Okay.
I think most of us are in our own way.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. That's my goal for next year.
Yeah, it's going to keep me busy. So,
Thanks, Mary. Great to see you.
good to see you too.
All right, James, you're up, man. First timer.
Yeah, man.
Welcome.
Thank you. So I think for 2021, I have one real goal in mind, and it's taking my company to the moon and making it probably the biggest offensive security one-stop shop possible. And we're working tirelessly, on marketing, products, solutions, and trying to come out Q1 with a bang. So we've not been sleeping, working nonstop to get this ball rolling. So we're really excited. We're not slowing down, especially with the holidays. We're just working as hard as possible, not sleeping.
Yeah. So, James, what is the name of your company? So I got that.
Zero Security Research Labs.
Zero Security Research Lab.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Yeah, and I don't know if you have already, James, but would love to, if you drop your LinkedIn profile into the chat there, I'd love to connect with you.
Do that. Drop your website into there because we save that chat and stuff too. That's awesome, man.
I appreciate it, guys. Thank you.
Yeah, welcome.
Thanks, James. Gabriel, awesome to see you today.
Hi, guys. So I have this crazy vision. It's an ongoing vision where people can surf the web without getting scammed. It's going to probably take a lot of years. So 2021 is going to be, one step towards that goal. I've been fortunate enough to build Wiser, my company, where we can both provide free training to people and also have businesses pay for some of it. So we have this platform where we're trying to push it, and we're doing it successfully to schools, to elderly people, and really my mission is that online safety will become a basic life skill, and I really hope we'll get there soon.
That's cool, Gabriel. I'm gonna write that down. Online security will become a basic life skill. If you're not using that, you should. Awesome to see it.
I have kids. I see what they're going through. It's something that is it's just required today. This is sort of the virtual roads we're crossing every day.
Yeah,
it should be taught in high school.
Literally every day, almost. My wife gets a phishing email of some sort, and she got caught last year on it. And I mean, it is. And as you get older, it gets worse. And my parents got phished going to the website, the Best Buy website, because they used the Geek Squad people to come. Somehow somebody intercepted them and got them to buy Amazon gift cards of all things to come to court, and how that all works. But yeah, just
crime moves online. Why should crime, why bother, pulling a gun if you can do it virtually and anonymously?
Yeah. Hey, love your cause. Thanks so much for being here today.
Sure.
You bet. Dennis Bolger, great to see you today.
No, good morning. Good morning. I'm Dennis Bolger, and we are insurance agents in Perrineville, Washington, just down the street from Damon, and
literally
just down the street. And we're independent agents, and so we have lots of carriers and lots of ways to help people protect themselves. My goal this year is I'm branding the business and developing it into what it can be, and then protecting it so that it's protected from those folks that are trying to infiltrate and cause problems. And then one of my big dreams is to help my team realize their dreams. And the more I can do to help them, the better off they will be, and they'll have more chances. But the focus, of course, is to always continue to protect those around us and those folks that don't understand what insurance is there for.
Yep.
That's our goal. That's where we're at.
Good stuff, Dennis. Glad to see you.
Thank you.
All right. We got Corey Hansen with us this morning.
Good morning, Corey Hansen. I'm from near Seattle, Washington, Bothell. And my business is Hot 100 Business. And good to be here again, guys. And let's see, goals. So I work with companies that want to 5X, 10X their business, typically $1 to $20 million next 2-3 years. And I'm sad because as a result of this year, I've only got one company that's going to make the Inc. 500 this next year. So, my goal as a result of next year would be to have at least 5.
There you go. Awesome. Good stuff, man. Helping business owners create value. Love it. Love it. All right. Kelly Robinson, glad to see you today. Eric's going to school.
His dad just brought him over to pick up a book really quick. So I was
all right. Awesome.
So I just popped up. We're doing introductions.
Yeah, we're doing an introduction, and then you're going to tell us what your big goal is for 2021.
Oh boy. Okay. Oh, I need to think about that. My big goal. All right. So I'm Kelly Robinson. I have a company called Pod & Notes. We're a talent acquisition and retention firm. So companies engage us on more of a retainer to hire people for them and try to hire the right people for them. My goal for 2021 overall is to grow my business. So COVID stopped me for like a couple months, but I was able to meet revenue goal this year, which is shocked me, which is great, but I just want to keep on that trajectory because we're doing really well.
Awesome.
That's it.
Awesome, Kelly. Great to see you. Thanks for stopping by.
Thanks, Damon.
You bet. Brad.
Good morning.
Yeah.
So I'm Brad Smith. My company is Stellar Insight Inc., and I help companies grow. I kind of like Corey's goal of, Fortune 500 companies, but my goal is always to figure out where the mindset is for my clients and help them kind of shove up against their comfort zone. And my job is to take them through the comfort zone into the unknown and have them explore what's possible. So my goal is to find out what's possible. And I think I've been hiding out for 70 years. And it's time for the world to know that Brad exists. And that's one of my goals. And to actually bring value to as many people as I can.
Awesome. That's cool, man. That's awesome. Glad to see you, Brad.
Thanks.
Andrew Deutsch, how you doing today?
Doing good. How are you?
Wonderful. So,
goal for the
questions?
Sorry?
You know the drill. And
I
you
do.
know what to do.
Yeah, I just bought a drill, a shovel, and a pickaxe. My goal is to go in the backyard and mine Bitcoin. And I think I have some buried back there.
Yeah, you probably do.
That's what I'm going to do this year. No, this year it's a toss-up between get my book published and grow to 1,000 subscribers on the Fangled Cast podcast that I started this year. One or the other, and then the crowd will cheer and we'll all make a lot of money.
There we go. I have video envy. I just got to throw it out there. I got video envy bad. And I am taking you up on learning that stuff next year. So tell us about what you do, Andrew.
And then I'm going to moon the crowd. So we're good.
There we go. Love it.
Oh, dear.
So tell us about what you do, Andrew. Oh, you took him down. You didn't let him tell us what he was going to do.
Too slow.
We'll bring it back.
I
AJ,
clicked the wrong button.
go ahead and take yourself up. Love to see you. Tell us a little bit about yourself and your goals for 2021.
See, basically, I'm a business development manager in an IT staffing firm. So where I help clients to recruit for their positions.
Yep, IT staffing.
Yes, exactly. So the biggest goal for the 2021 is this. I just want to open my own business.
Okay. So opening your own IT staffing business.
Yes,
awesome.
yes, exactly. That's the goal for my 2021.
Great. Good stuff, AJ. Thanks for being here again. Love seeing you.
Thanks a lot, guys.
So, Andrew, before you got cut off so abruptly, tell us about what you do.
Do I get cut off again, or can I get like 3 words before you do it? No,
hurry up.
We're a marketing and sales consultant. We help our clients convert every touch into a voracious advocate for their brand as fractional chief marketing officer, commercial officer. And we have relationships and work in about 120 different countries with our clients.
Nice. Thanks, Andrew.
Cut me off.
Now we can get rid of him. Now we can. I don't mean that. I mean put him off the stage. Yes. So, anyone else, Andrew, or are we done?
I think that's everybody. If
Raise your
there's
hand if you
anybody I
haven't gotten
missed,
up, so.
speak up.
Awesome.
I think that's all. So,
Andrew, well, let's start. You start, and then I'll go, and then we'll let the speakers go after that. Does that sound good? Because they're going to speak after that. Okay. All right. So go ahead, Andrew.
Yeah. Well, Andrew Cross, Exit Your Way, co-founder with Damon Pistolka. We're helping companies add value to their businesses on an exit when they want to sell. So, anyways, goals for next year. I want to lose 15 pounds. Actually, that's the goal for first quarter. And and I want to add 500 million in value to companies in the next year, which is, I think, that's what we do, and we need to step it up. And that's my goal. Putting a number on it,
awesome,
we're going for it.
Awesome. Ira Bowman, I don't know. He's sick today, but he can get up if he wants to. He can let you know by chat. I see that he said everyone but him. So I don't know. He was looking pretty green this morning. Damon Pistolka, Andrew talked about our business. You know, my goals for 2021, in addition to what he's saying about growing value, we're going to do that, is really extending the reach of our company and the people here, and just the helping as many people as we can get their brand out, along with our brand and along with their customers, and make them all successful. Because if there's something that Mike O'Connor and Ira and some of these other people have taught me in this last year, and you people here on this thing, is like, if we work together, we can be bigger, better, stronger, faster than anyone that's going it alone. And I truly believe that. Personally, for me, I'm really jacked for 2021, because this year has been, as someone said, for me and our business, honestly, it's been a great year. But for me personally, it's been a super, super enlightening journey, as far as, I mean, I'm doing stuff that I never thought I would ever be doing personally, and taking care of myself, getting exercise, daily journaling, reading, and just those kind of things. I'm so excited to see what that's going to bring next year. So let's see, Jacob, alphabetically, you come first.
Oh dear. Well, Jacob Warren Research, e-services for business. Essentially, and since I'm a speaker with Ron today, the details will get covered later, but I think it's for the goals for this year. 2021 is going to be an incredible year, but the major goal is that I want to have clients in every state in the U.S. That's one of the major goals for that. I think that through all this, there are a lot of businesses out there that don't or haven't had the opportunity to realize what they can do by leveraging technology. And so I want to be able to provide that to as many people as possible. But in the year, we'll be in every state in the U.S.
Awesome, dude. So, Ron.
Hey, well, first of all, thanks for inviting me as a speaker. And so my name is Ron Craig, and I am a cybersecurity enthusiast, and I have my own copywriting and brand awareness company. And so I help clients and customers actually have their their messages, their products, and their services heard through social media. LinkedIn is my primary focus that I do, and I think I do a fairly decent job. I look at myself as a cyber communicator, cyber storyteller. So I want to make things that are relatable for everybody to understand, because the worst thing is that, we're talking over people's heads. I want everyone to be able to understand what they need to do in a language that they understand, not our geek speak, or as I like to say, don't take a nerd turd all over the content.
So that's a good one.
So that's my thing. So my goal for 2021 is to continue growing my business. I'm starting to work on a 180-day plan, which I'm actually going to be working with Jared Greer, which I think I mentioned to you guys before. So he and I are going to put together a plan for next 180 days to see how I'm going to grow and scale and get to capacity so that I can help a lot more people, a lot more companies, become more cyber aware.
Yeah. Awesome, Ron. Awesome. So having you guys on, I think, is a unique experience for us, because if people haven't been impacted by some sort of cyber hack, something happened to them, their business, their family, I think they're probably a few lucky people. Really, because I think I see the things that we've seen in business. We've had in some of our clients get wire transfers intercepted. We've had just the normal phishing stuff that you see to pull little bits of money out of accounts. And we've seen some data hacks that have been, and website hacks. And those are the kind of things that we see in business. But I thought we would start the discussion here with Ron talking about some of the things that you see, and then Jacob, some of the things that you guys are seeing in the businesses you're working with. And then we talk about, we kind of finish up the discussion with some practical steps people can take in their business or themselves that can protect them more. Because it's such a widespread problem and we don't even know about it. So, and if you got questions, put them in the chat. We'll have these guys answer, and we'll make sure that we're getting them to them. But take us away here, Ron, and let's talk about this a little bit.
Sure. And I think, what I'd like to start with too is to kind of throw numbers around. And, we had a report that came out actually in the last couple of days that talked about what the damage and what the loss was in 2020 for cybercrime. It actually has surpassed $1 trillion.
Oh my!
Lost, mostly from businesses. So that's actually kind of putting up there of what, the severity of what's out there and what we're kind of up against. I mean, $1 trillion. I mean, that number, most countries in the world don't even have a GDP of $1 trillion.
Yeah.
So that's what we're actually looking at. And of course, the US is a very huge target. So in terms of what we see out there, I mean, business email compromise, which is basically, somebody saying, "Hey, I'm the CEO." It's a phishing email, social engineering to say, "Come in, transfer $500 million from account A to B," or any other level of social engineering or phishing, as people really look at it as, is still one of the biggest attack vectors that are out there in the landscape. So it's still, from my last that I checked, it's still about 80% of the vector that's actually coming at people. So in terms of what companies need to do, it really is awareness. I really push the awareness side. I look at it as there's two different factors. There's the technology to help secure the technology. And at the end of the day, though, we actually have the people that are really the human firewall that have to make that decision. As Damon, you were saying, your parents get a call from somebody saying, there's tech support. But, one thing about awareness is tech companies don't call you up and say, "Hey, I see you have a problem. Let me help you fix it." It doesn't happen ever. So that's up to us to really communicate that message out to, the audience, whether that's business, whether it's, grandparents, aunts, uncles, children, everybody, to understand of what's considered the norm. And that does change. And, there's a lot of different attack styles and vectors out there. And the thing is, it's almost impossible to understand them all, because, one thing I always say often is that cybercrime is basically limitless. It's unbound by the creativity of the attacker. They're going to come up with a new attack day after day after day with different components. But the components of it, whether it's too good to be true, use of fear, people calling you up, all of that really does remain the same. So it's having the awareness and the awareness training. So awareness training and awareness is really my key focus that I do and that I promote.
Yeah, you made the one thing you said that I wrote down that I think is really impactful and important for people to understand is the human firewall. And we are the ultimate gatekeeper on a lot of this, because that's where most of the crime happens. Not correct? Is it just because something happens like that and someone lets somebody in, or is that just on the personal side that's more where it happens?
Oh no, that's the best way to get in through a business. So whether it's coming through a BEC attack, it's still somebody. I mean, it's people attacking people. The outcome is either going to be money, intelligence, to push an agenda. Let's say if it's political, whether it's nation state backed. I mean, the SolarWinds attack, I don't want to go into that because we'd be talking for like 6 years, but the SolarWinds was basically a supply chain attack where it always comes down to, return on investment. It's what the ROI is. What can I do to get me the most money, intelligence? It's all about data. Data, as I posted the other day, data is knowledge and knowledge is power. And so you have to protect the data. And to get access to the data, it really is coming through the gates. You can come in through the back channel, through supply chain like SolarWinds, getting through the front door because somebody wasn't aware. They clicked on a phishing link and they let somebody into the organization. It gets ransomed. And then, of course, you're sitting there with a note on your screen that says, you have to give us $1.5 million to get your data back.
Yeah.
And that's where, it comes into the practical steps that we'll talk about after to make sure, first of all, you don't pay that ever. You should never, ever pay. And I don't even think, even if you have insurance, I don't like paying ransom because you're funding further crime. And a lot of these ransom organizations and criminal organizations also deal in human trafficking. So just like a couple of weeks ago, I see that a school district, paid the ransom. Well, first of all, a school district that looks after children paid a ransom to a criminal organization that most likely deals in human trafficking. I mean, it just blows my mind.
Yeah.
So let's make sure that these people don't get a dime.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point. And yeah, I just, the Garmin thing is the one that I saw this year that was really, it's a company that I known, and, didn't they end up paying like $10 million or something? And it's probably small in the whole scheme of things. It's the one that I saw that was.
Yeah, they negotiated down, I think, to something like 6, but it doesn't matter. You shouldn't have to pay $100,000. I know it's a cost of doing business. I know it's not simple. We always look at ourselves from a security, protection, defense advocates and say that you never ever pay. But if I look at this from the concept of somebody who has a small business, has 20 employees that have families to pay, and they didn't do their due diligence, they don't have the proper protections in place. So either they pay the ransom or they send 20 people home without jobs.
Yeah.
So understand that it's not an easy decision. So what we got to do is we got to make sure that we get the defenses up to the point where they have the proper technology, firewalls, training, everything they need so that we don't put any more money in these buggers' pockets.
Yeah. That's for sure. Now, Jacob, when you're out there, and I'm going to expand on what you do a little bit. I mean, Jacob is helping organizations, just normal businesses, but also he helps some government organizations that they just can't get hacked, right? And so what are you seeing in the field that is working well, and practical kind of things that you see that's helping anyway? Or if I'm completely wrong, just me, take it another direction.
Yeah, so I think here's what seeing out in the field is that there are a lot of small businesses that go with this principle of, imagine being in a Corvette, for example, or in a Corvette convertible, and you're driving along, you have all the revenue and everything that your business generates sitting in the back seat. Then they pull up and park the car, lock the door, and leave the top down. That is the problem point that a lot of businesses that are smaller, and when we're talking small businesses, we're talking under 200 employees. That they're the businesses that will go from 1 to 20 employees, and they approach it in a way typically that we're not big enough to be hacked, and it's not going to affect us. And so they'll do things where they won't even have a firewall, which in days of old, it would be extremely expensive. That's no longer the case. Technology has gotten better to allow it to be more affordable for them. And so what we do is we step in and help walk through and show them that, hey, the security piece of it is not this complex monster. It can be a lot simpler, but if you look at even the room that we're in right now, out of 10 of us, 4.5 of the businesses that are currently watching out of 10 or 20, but let's use that number 10, 4.5 of them are going to be hacked. Now, imagine that when you look at what like Ron was bringing up with the ransom, imagine it will cost you $200,000 on average to recover from that. I mean, it's no longer a case of not protecting your network. And so what we're seeing is the awareness piece, where there's companies like what Ron does is that education piece is becoming simpler and simpler to understand. It's no longer the dry, annoying stuff. It's actually something that actively needs to be looked at. You're constantly improving yourself in your business, whether it's, to perform better at sales or, do better things with accounting, whatever it is. It's now what we're seeing in companies that are less susceptible is that they're lowering that overall what's called an attack surface. What's easier to hit, a target that is a football field size or something that's 1 inch by 1 inch when you're looking at it from 100 yards away. And so what we're seeing is the companies that take even basic steps, they are lowering that risk factor while still allowing them to function and not hinder the speed of business.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things that people think is when they go, okay, days of old, right? When you had your corporate VPN, you had to log into the VPN, you had to do the kind of things that you used to do in the old days, and maybe that's still prevalent, but they're worried about how it'll affect them and the cost. I mean, because let's face it, most people that are in business in this room, we don't understand IT that well. And the days of old where you had to have a server in your business and it was handling email and your website and all that, it's gone. And even now the hardware and the systems to do this have gotten much easier for people like you or the business people themselves to maintain, correct?
Yeah. For example, you take your phone. The hardware in this phone is far greater than the servers that were around, let's say 15 years ago, for example. And that's going quite far back. But when you start thinking about that, and
he freezed up. Did he freeze up? Oh, there we go. We came back.
I'm still here. I saw everybody else, but
okay.
But essentially, it comes down to the hardware is cheaper. The amount of investment into technology for those hardware vendors is constantly being invested and reinvested. There's no reason that as a small business that you do not have a firewall. I mean, would you operate in a way that where you pull up with that convertible, lock the door, and think that it's okay? Would you? I mean, it's not realistic. This is your livelihood. And so when you start looking at the fact that the data shows that it's 43% of small businesses, 43% will experience a cyber attack if they don't take precautions. And it's not meant to, go into scaring you, but it's like, it's almost to the point where why wouldn't you just, on larger scale, why wouldn't you spend just a fraction of a cost to even start down that path of protecting your environment?
Cool. Well, Ron, I know that you're passionate about this, and I did want to bring us up. That's awesome about the business side, Jacob. And we'll come back and ask you a couple of practical things that first steps for business owners, or even a more advanced step. But Ron, and Ron, you as well, one of the things you're passionate about in the post that I see a lot, you're talking about kids and cybersecurity and those kind of things. Can you drop us a couple nuggets of knowledge there, because your posts about that are incredible.
Yeah, thanks, Damon. Yeah, I mean, that is a huge passion of mine, is, really protecting the next generation. I look at it kind of is that line between, security and privacy. They're kind of one, they are very coupled. They're definitely brother and sister, brother, whatever, to each other. But, privacy is something that we talk about often. And everybody has a right to privacy. I mean, people don't maybe not even realize this, but even your children actually have legally a right to privacy. And privacy is an endangered species by far. Like, we have lost, for our generation and everybody alive today, our personal information is out there. And I don't even look at that. And I think I've said this many times, is that a static information, what I call your static, PII, personal identified information, is gone. Where you live, who you are, who you work for, it's gone. I mean, it's not coming back. You can't get it back. You can't get your thumbprint back. You've used that on your devices. You can't get your voice print back. And honestly, it's not even the one to worry about. What you statically, where you live, isn't a big deal. What actually is a big deal, especially even for children who are targeted by marketing, getting ad campaigns, is what they do, where they go, what they look at, who they talk to, where they're at. And look at that Amazon. I'm going to knock them right now. They have that bracelet that's coming out that apparently even monitors your body fat and sells that to third parties. So there's what was announced in the recently was Apple is being very, very good at actually pushing the privacy vector. They have a lot of kids that use their devices. Now they're coming out in early 2021 to give us a choice to say, I don't want you tracking my behavior and my data, including the kids. We get to opt out and say, you don't get that. And of course, Facebook is fighting back and saying that's going to hurt small businesses because we need to be able to target you and track you and see where you're going. So now there's a big fight going on in the industry that Facebook and Apple are going actually head to head now, and actually literally blows on ads, and it's just horrible. It's going to get messy. But Apple, Craig Federighi, I mean, he said that our customers are not our product. And that right there, I love that. That was beautiful. And so when it comes back to the kids, it's so bloody important. I had a post out a few months ago, and I think it made a lot of waves, and people are really upset when I talked about there were ads coming up showing my 7-year-old, decapitations and blood spatter on the screen, because what they did is they were able to sneak an ad into a 4+ game that actually was able to circumvent the content restrictions. I don't even understand how they're even allowed to put ads on a device that's set up for a 4-year-old. It's just ridiculous. So when it comes to the kids and everything, I'm always going to be a strong advocate. I have a zero tolerance mentality when it comes to children being targeted for business and ads and campaigns. Absolutely zero tolerance for it. I don't think it should be allowed. I think it should be regulated. It shouldn't be allowed to happen.
Interesting. I invited Alexandra up. He was having some very, let's say, had some input, some great comments in there. So might as well come up here and sit in the chat and see if we can contribute a little bit to the conversation. But I had a question, guys, too, just recently too, not about with children and hacking, but with this big one that that they got into the Treasury Department, this recent one that's in the news. And I was reading about it just yesterday, was that, they came in through Office 365 into these agencies, government agencies. And that Microsoft now is kind of like went on the offensive back against the hackers. And they've got the article that was about their considerable resources they put on it.
Yeah.
I just was curious, just as industry, as insiders into that too. What do you guys think about that? It was kind of like, for once, Microsoft was using the evil for good type of, kind of thing. But what do you, maybe if you could add some comments about that? I thought it was interesting.
Yeah, if you don't mind, I'll go first on that one. The SolarWinds attack, how they essentially did that. And so one of the great things with Microsoft Office 365 is that it gives you access to a lot of different plugins and modules that you can plug into it. SolarWinds, when it comes to that supply chain and stuff, there's additional layers of protection you can put within that environment. And so it wasn't necessarily a vulnerability with the Microsoft platform. It was the added modules that were put in place to protect or monitor and support it. And with that comes, we've heard certificates and things like that. There's different measures that you're supposed to implement and vet and put into place with that. It's kind of like the best way to look at it is for this particular environment, for how this network was managed, they gave out too many keys and didn't pay attention to whose hands those keys ended up into, which allowed for a vulnerability to happen that then was exploited and then executed. That's about the best way to simply put that into place. And then I'll let you guys take that one too.
Go ahead, Alexandra.
Yeah, I agree with Jacob on this one because the path to get in is often, an issue with the configuration or implementation of the solution. Like, I'm kind of publicly known to scream about the cloud stuff, cloud equal leak and stuff. But my real point is that if you do it right, you clearly lower the likelihood of such event to happen. So most of the time, it's all about the basics. And when there is a successful attack on a platform, then the next thing is the lateral move. So right now, and I did comment just like a few minutes ago on that topic about SolarWinds, we haven't seen or realized yet the actual impact, which is much bigger than just the thing that just happened. And an issue is like, in the case of SolarWinds, and we can only assume for now because there is a whole federal investigation and all people are on it. So, but one of the thing that may happen in such thing, it's like supply chain attack. If they have the CI/CD pipeline that got corrupted, and there is so many ways to get into a CI/CD pipeline. So for people who doesn't know, CI/CD is continuous development process. It's your robot that build your software and release automatically. It's pulling source code and updates, and it builds and it runs the QA by itself. And usually it's pulling, all the needed modules that you need from open source, from private source, and it's updating continuously. And what happens is if one of these components, like gem file or whatever, is corrupted in the repository, it's going to go into your code. So that's one path. And one thing I saw online, I don't know if it's real yet, but there have been some information about an open FTP access to a repository server on SolarWinds side that may have allowed an attacker to drop nasty code into the chain. And then if you don't do, and to be honest, you should do that. That's DevOps that should switch to DevSecOps, which should involve automatic code review when you release a software. But all the business, we're all driven by time to market. So a lot of automation, and sometimes either we don't have the resource or the skills or the time to assess the whole thing. And instead of doing DevSecOps with security in mind, we just stick to DevOps. And what happens is you get in your pipeline some corrupted assets, and you may miss it. And when it works, the way the software development cycle works, if that module is not posing any issue, no one is going to go after it because that's the agile thing. We fix issue, but what runs. And if it passes the QA and there is no regression testing on that was issue, it's going to stay in. So that's how you get a permanent foothold in the supply chain. Why they didn't remove it? Because it was quiet and silent and did not trigger any issue. So if you don't catch it at the time of the time it's included into the source code or the supply chain, assuming this is what happened, again, this is an assumption, but this is something that did happen many times. And we saw gem repository, all kind of online repository corrupted. And it could be actually one of these as well. We have no idea yet. But that's the way it's spreading. And because we are all relying on external providers, that's the supply chain security main issue. How far are you going to trust, and how far are you going to verify the due diligence process on the supply chain, and how much time are you allowed by your business to do that work? So it's all, and then we fall back on the legal side of thing and liability. sometimes we just transfer the responsibility on the provider if we have a contract, and therefore we just blind spot it. But the brand impact, like SolarWinds, it's kind of being explosive right now. And I think the name of the brand is going to be tough to recover after that, I think. So even if you have a contract that actually do a risk transfer to a third party, and assume they are not the first responder. We saw the other security team, FireEye, that got victim in that stuff as well. They had most likely a contract with a responsibility, and we see the same thing with the cloud shared responsibility. But then when it comes to publication like that and the brand impact, there is no contract that's going to cover it.
Yeah.
Well, and one of the things that kind of summarizes what Alexandra just said is what a lot of people might not be aware out of the tech industry is SolarWinds has been picking up and merging with a ton of different companies. They acquired a company called GFI. They're acquiring these technologies. And so when you're too hasty to putting all these technologies together and you don't vet them, you get vulnerabilities like this. And so I think as the story develops, we'll find out more and more that it's one of those security, you can implement it quickly. Yes, but you have to do it right if you do it quickly. And so it's verifiable processes that you as the end customer should be able to see where your data leaves your office and goes to wherever it's going. You should have auditable tracking of every packet all the way across.
Yeah. Okay. So let's bring this back into the things that the typical business person or someone on this call can do to help protect themselves and people. I know, two-factor authentication is one of the things that you talk about, Ron. Mm-hmm. I don't know if people understand what the authenticator apps that you can put on your phone are. Let's just talk about the basic securities that we should be using both personally, Ron, and in business, Jacob, and then we're going to be running out of time, but I think it'd be awesome if we can cover a couple of those.
Sure. One thing that I like to always stress often too is visibility. Know your assets. I mean, the thing is that you can't protect anything if you don't even know what you've got. So always have an inventory of what you have, and that includes everything in your device. Your devices, your IoT. IoT is that's a whole other chat.
Yeah.
It's, you have to understand what you've got. And that includes, people, right now we have a work from anywhere mentality happening. So what it is, we say this often, the perimeter is dead. It's gone. There is no perimeter anymore. All it is endpoints. An endpoint is your staff in their home behind a network you don't control. So basic security hygiene is something that is so important. So whether, it's two-factor authentication, it's having, if you use these speaker things that listen in on your chats with your family, make sure they're off. Make sure that they're muted when you're using them. Two-factor authentication, password manager. Now, that has both. People kind of fight that, saying, what if the password manager gets compromised? That is a risk, of course. But what's a bigger risk is people trying to remember these passwords. And what typically happens is you reuse the same password on 50 sites. And so what happens is when that password gets compromised because of a database that was leaked on some Best Buy site or whatever you're using, and now they use that everywhere. So you should have single-use passwords, strong, complex passwords on per site. Now, there are things you can do in your head to say this is based on site. You kind of salt it and you do all these fancy things. But a password manager, to me, use a good one. Bitwarden is one that Alex and I both like to use because it's open source and it doesn't store the vault in the cloud. If you don't want it to, you can, store it on each device. So password manager. And the biggest thing for me is really the promotion of, security awareness training. I'm a very huge advocate of Wiser training. It's probably the best out there. We've all taken security training over the years. Usually there's like some bear comes flying through, or I don't know, anyway, something that just irks me. But, when it comes to, making, retraining, training and awareness and making it, engaging, and no one wants to sit through 45 minutes of boring training videos. You want to be able to quick, we're in a quick consumption culture. Yeah. 45 second, a minute and a half is pretty much all we can handle now when we're watching videos. So that's why I like Wiser is, these are very high quality videos, minute and a half, you're done. You do that once a day in a week, you're already basically 1,000% better off than you were before because you know about, these attacks and these risks that aren't there. So training, it's all about lowering risk, honestly. You got to lower your risk.
Cool. So, Jacob, what are you suggesting that people should be doing in their business right now as some of the basic things?
Yes, the number one is don't be scared of it. Don't be scared of cybersecurity. Don't avoid it. Don't treat it like an elephant in the room. The simplest thing you can do is implement a firewall. The reason you want to do that is because that stops attackers from getting in your network. Some people go and say, hey, I'll put an endpoint antivirus software, on my computer and call it good. Well, that starts protecting you after they're already in your network. And so just look at that. Cyber security awareness training of some sort is important. And then don't be scared of it. It's okay to start looking into cybersecurity. Work with a vendor or partner that it will explain the things to you in the way that you prefer, and then establish what amount of risks and things you want to take on as a business, and then move forward. Just be aware of your surroundings. That's the key thing for businesses to do. And it is a lot simpler to implement now than it has been than ever before.
Cool. Well, guys, I appreciate you being here today. And obviously this topic is big, and the SolarWinds thing blew it up. It was nice it happened before this because we arranged you guys a long time ago to speak. And for us, it was a good thing to be able to talk about. But appreciate you having you guys here. If people want to get a hold of you, they can reach you on LinkedIn and in the chat here if you're in the room, and ask them some additional questions and do those things. So Andrew Deutsch says I should stop using Andre's password 1 as my password.
Well, you should now.
Yeah, now. But,
well, hold on. What? Who do you bank with?
Yeah. So Andrew, take us away, man. Thanks, everyone.
Yeah, thanks again. Hey, great guys. I guess I will change. I've been using password for my password for years. Just better have a look at that. Anyhow, excellent stuff. Great tips. As always, we'll go back to the tables and continue the conversations. If anybody wants to hang out, please do. I'm going to have to jump off early today, so I won't be there. But hope you guys all have a great Christmas. I think Damon too. If you want to. Announce our Christmas party.
Yeah, for those of you that are on the invite, you got our weekly Christmas party next week on Monday night. We're going to have some fun with that one. Oh, and you reminded me, I got a couple of other announcements. Woo!
BYOB.
Yeah, we're going to have some fun. It's in the afternoon. So if you want, you can ask me about it at the table or just message me on LinkedIn. Next year, 2021 for this. This is our last one of the year. We're starting it off with Troy Niehaus next year. I believe is the first one we've got going on. He's going to be teaching us about some financial planning, and he can speak a lot more eloquently about than I am. What I'm looking for next year, we're already scheduled through the first part of February. But if you got speakers that you think we should hear, you got topics we should be covering, that's great. We want to hear those and bring those to us. Hey, we'll get them out, get them up there. The other thing we're going to play with next year to have some fun, guest hosts. I think we're going to have some fun. Andrew brought this up with me in a meeting a while ago. We're going to have some guest hosts here. So if you're interested in that, I got some ideas for it, but it will be a lot of fun next year to do that.
And even if you aren't interested, we're going to make you do it.
Yeah, we may make you do it. Behind the scenes, we strong arm this stuff. You don't know that. But we want to keep it fresh. We want to keep it informative. We want to have a good place for people to come to, network when you can, and just build this community. So invite your friends. Get ready for 2021. We'll see you next week at our holiday party Monday night. I believe, did I say it was 3 or 4 o'clock our time? I can look at it, but when was it, Andrew? Let me get the calendar up here. Yes, and I am a calendar zombie. So let's see. It is at 3 o'clock Pacific, so 6 o'clock East Coast. And we'll be doing that next week right back here on Remo and going from there. Thanks, everybody. We're going back to the tables.
Okay. Thanks, guys.